Welcome to IIGC 2019 and we have Mr. Somasundaram with us, MD India of World Gold Council. Welcome sir, welcome to IIGC. First I would like to ask you the second quarter demand supply specifically of India. What would you like to say?
As India has had a very good second quarter. There's been a 13% growth in the aggregate demand. But we have to understand when we speak about 13%, it is also on a lower base, because earlier we used to buy 950 tons. Now we are buying 750 tons. Against that lower base, it is a very healthy growth. It shows the momentum is back. Having said that, the aggregate figure is one thing, and there are lots of stories inside this about what happens to the organized sector, what's going to happen post the duty, etc. But overall, as we see, barring the disappointment subsequently of this duty increase, we see an industry which is now getting a lot more organized and which is probably ready to transform.
Beautiful, sir. So WGC tracks the Indian market very actively. So what does your study say on the current demand trends of India of gold and gold products, and what do you read from that exactly?
Yeah, as I said, what we have seen is there is a lot of pent-up demand. Post demonetization GST, we did have a disruption in the market, and rightly so, that quite a lot of what I would call unaccounted money, which used to earlier find gold as a haven, now no longer exists for the industry to rely on. So the industry has got more organized ever since GST came in. There are definitely other issues on GST, which I think the various associations are taking up. But overall, the industry has moved in the right direction towards getting organized. On top of it, we now have Niti Aayog's policy recommendations, which says about how the industry should be organized, how it should increase the value addition, etc. And so the industry is now looking more progressively on what more reform should come in, rather than saying, just a couple of duty arbitrages, etc. Although they remain important in the short run, I think the industry is now ready for a long-term reform, and that's what we get across talking to various sectors. Against, in that context, what we have seen in the gold demand is that, you see, consumers in India still love gold. Yeah, and they do absolutely want to make sure that the gold they have bought is pure, and so their aspirations are also changing, because the alternate asset classes like, equities, debt, they are also actually now making the consumers more aware. So it is time that this industry also makes the retail consumers more aware of gold's various properties. What do you do when you hold gold? How can you recycle gold? I think that awareness so far has been taken for granted because we relied a lot on the family wisdom. Now those families are becoming smaller, and that wisdom probably is not all over the place. So that is something the industry now has to adopt. Looking at what AMFI is doing on mutual funds, or insurance industry is doing on insurance. I think this industry also has to shed the myth that everybody understands gold, but actually take it upon itself to make people aware of various things about gold.
So WGC has been playing a stellar role in bringing the industry together and working on the reform agenda. So one recent initiative is the roadmap of spot gold exchange. So what do you summarize about it?
Well, as you know that we are going to be releasing a blueprint during this conference. The blueprint was developed not by us, but by an industry committee of 27 members. And I am hoping that all the members are going to be there in this important conference. We have also shared this blueprint with the government at some stage. I mean, when we say we, the industry has shared it. We shared it with Niti Aayog, and Niti Aayog has also recommended a spot exchange as a thing. We have drawn a lot of lessons from other countries as well. So we expect that the government, as it was notified in the 2018 budget speech, will work on making the spot exchange reality. See, if you look back, China is the recently developed large gold market. And it is as large as India, I mean larger than India. And the first thing China did right was the spot exchange. So if India has to reform the industry, it is very clear that the first thing that has to be attended to is a organized trading platform through a spot exchange. So we expect that the government will certainly resume the work that was done pre-elections on the spot exchange and make it a reality.
Beautiful, sir. So, WGC has been on an all India tour covering 8 cities to understand the aspirations and the needs of the stakeholders of the gold and the jewelry industry. So, how was the experience about, and what are the key findings? And if there are some issues, what do you would like to address to?
Yeah. I think this 8 cities was certainly something which we said, let's go, and instead of meeting only at these kind of conferences, why don't we go and meet in the respective cities there, the big players in that city. It was the first time we have done this. There was no specific agenda other than to discuss issues related to the industry, how it has moved in the last 2 years. So we kept it a little open, and we kept it very short. The response has been immense. We were overwhelmed by it. We thought that, what are we going to talk? There is no structured agenda. There are no panel discussions. Will the people take it? I think it has been very successful. People were very open, because we also said there's going to be no journalist or media, etc. So they were very open, and so it was free and frank discussion. It was not always a goody talk. There were a lot of criticism, and we learned a lot from that. We have, if we can say one thing that stood out out of all these 8 city interactions, is that industry is now poised for a big change. In fact, they are asking for a few things like a code of conduct, so that the image of the industry improves. One thing comes out clearly is the industry wants its image to change.
Yes.
That was if I might summarize it, that was a big thing. Now, how to change the image? It's not just you go and advertise in the TV. You have to do a few things. That is what has come out more, what I would say, forcefully. Yeah.
So, can you share your thoughts on the Innovation Center that WGC has been advocating for the industry?
Actually, the Innovation Center was more a thought that came from the industry, just like Spot Exchange. Although we have been saying that, India has a lot of handcrafted jewelry, but what is happening is our innovation is restricted more to design. And rather, we said that the entire gamut of the supply chain, whether it be logistics, whether it be packaging, whether it be design, whether it be the way you manufacture, should be we should have innovation and innovative thinking. So I think as a concept, when we proposed this, the industry feels that there is a need now. Only we haven't discussed how it would be formed. We are not looking at a big institute of innovation, that would be very expensive. What we are saying is, how do we make innovation a part of all that we do, the industry does. So we are going to bring the industry together just through a steering committee, and probably then hammer out the entire idea itself.
So My Gold Guide is a great initiative by WGC. So take us through the journey so far and share us how about the gold market participant can engage with these initiatives.
See, the purpose behind My Gold Guide is not to market any particular brand of jewelry. It is to market gold. Okay. And we realized about 3 years ago we started this. We kept it below the radar. We are now we have started talking about it in the 8 cities, and that's where this has actually become a little more public. The idea is, you don't market a particular jeweler's, production. What we are trying to do is gold as gold jewelry. What does it mean to the consumer? Because we have seen the old family systems. Is, in a sense, it no longer exists. Earlier when you wanted to know something about gold, you went to the aunt or somebody. Now they're all nuclear families. So we said, why don't we actually make one website which answers all questions? It is not just about a particular thing like purity. It's also about, we have mythology, we have, why do people buy in Akshaya Tritiya? So we try and make it more like a guide. That's why we called it a My Gold Guide. Anything about gold, come in here. We have very rich content now, but we are nowhere close to where we want to be. Right now, what we are proposing is the industry participation in making this the platform for marketing gold as gold. Then you can have even individual jewelers sponsoring things about their manufacturing, etc. But the idea is gold as a there must be a marketing platform for gold as such. That's the purpose. We have good number of visitors. We haven't advertised much, about 2 million visitors, and I think if the industry participates now, I think it can be one single platform on which all things that happen in the Indian jewelry could be actually showcased to the consumer. We can make a good strong case for gold.
Beautiful. That's what. So you have been, an essential part of IIGC. So what do you expect out of the industry?
As I said, look, IIGC is always a very important conference, and I always call it as a flagship conference in India. I think we have all bankers, everybody usually coming in here. So it is very important for us. We have seen it grow over the years and become a platform for advocating several policy reforms. It should continue to be what it is, first of all. That's what it is. What more can it do in terms of that? I think absolutely IIGC should, as I said, should bring other associations together. And we do have too many conferences in India, by every association wanting it. We have to see how IIGC could bring all the associations without, compromising their interests. Could IIGC, maybe more than one IIGC, versions of IIGC with other associations, be an answer to that? Maybe we should start thinking about it, because otherwise you have 5, 6, 7 conferences. It can create a fatigue. But if there is one thing I would always choose is IIGC.
Thank you so much for this.